Some of you don't speak the best English, so once it's on YouTube, you can use the closed captions as well for text once it's uploaded, if that's needed as an option. But alrighty, so really, congratulations to all of you.
Really.
Thank you.
Of course, you guys have all made it as our first batch of community moderators. Specifically, all of you come from various different countries around the world. We were really looking for global moderators to help us with our various different language channels. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you from the Subspace team, and we definitely appreciate your help and look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah.
Thank
Alrighty.
you.
Of course. And once again, if there's anything you don't understand, just look out for the YouTube video once it comes out, and there'll be captions there. And obviously, I'm happy to answer any questions as well as we go through. But really just kind of got to do a high-level overview on how moderation works for our community and kind of what our expectations are and everything along those lines. Shouldn't be anything too crazy. I'm sure most of this will be kind of review for most of you, but just want to make sure we're all on the same page and everything along those lines. So let me share my screen here. Alrighty, we should see the moderation master guide on the screen. Awesome. So I'll just do a quick run through on this. I know most of you probably already read this. If you have not taken a look, please do, as this is our general moderation guide. This applies to community moderators and also ambassadors. So it's a pretty universal guide that will continue to expand as we improve and upgrade as we move on. But so just some things to cover in regards to moderation. One thing that I like to touch on is the philosophy. While it is a job, it's also something that's very mind-based, mentally based. Something that I think is very important for moderators to keep in mind is that it's always important to keep a calm demeanor. Moderators aren't someone who should yell at somebody if they're frustrated. They shouldn't use curse words, things along those lines. Generally, as a moderator, you should be cool, calm, and collected, and have the information that those users are needing. And really, as all of you do that have made it this far, all have a core understanding of our subspace values as well. So those are the general crypto values of just open source, decentralization, censorship resistance. All of those we want to make sure we keep those things in mind in our moderation ways. If we're a blockchain that claims we don't like censorship, then we shouldn't jump to censoring our users as far as removing messages and things like that. And because of that, as mentioned here, all moderators are definitely strongly encouraged to read the Discord Moderation Academy. They actually put quite a bit of time and effort into setting that up, and it's a very good resource, for anyone who's kind of going into this side of things in the crypto space. Really, in my eyes, moderation kind of balances down to, I guess, 3 core concepts. You have the balance of authority. So, like we often see with police officers, for example, that power can be corrupting. In certain cases, once you start to have that power, it can kind of go to your head in certain ways. So it's definitely important to keep in mind that, with great power comes great responsibility, like Spider-Man's uncle said. So just make sure to keep those kinds of things in mind, especially when it comes to issuing punishments and, someone who broke the rules, those kinds of things. We want to make sure we keep a balance within that authority and, don't overstep. On that same note is, the balance of community. It's also important to understand that, as all of you community members are, without community, blockchain is nothing, literally zero, worthless. So the whole reason we're here is for the community. That's our core job and will always be our core job, is to make sure they're taken care of. And one thing that's kind of hard with community on the internet in particular is the global scale. I myself am an American. We have various Ukrainian, Russian, South Pacific Asian, users in our moderation team. All of us have various different cultures, standards, expectations within our cultures. So it's important to keep in mind that, just because someone said something a certain way, even if that may have like frustrated you or made you feel a certain way, they didn't necessarily mean it that way. Another culture might use that word very regularly versus your culture. So something to keep in mind as well. And, just to never assume that a user feels one way or another about the topic. Specifically, like I try to avoid like politics, religion, those kinds of things. Not the best topics to hop into when it comes to global discussions. Ultimately, just try and be as inclusive as possible, which I think all of you already do, but just something to keep in mind as well. And this last one, I think, is the biggest one in my eyes as far as your personal interactions as a moderator, is the balance of yourself. Moderation is not easy. There's oftentimes you find yourself in tense, stressful situations. And, you're struggling to gather all of the right information, trying to determine what's the right route to go. All of this just to, get anxiety about the whole thing. So ultimately, as a moderator, if there's any time that you're overwhelmed, you feel like you just can't handle whatever messages are coming through, feel free to step away. We will never knock the team for taking a moment to step away and recollect themselves. Or even if you need to hand off that user to a staff member, if they're really frustrating and getting under your skin, you can just tag me or another subspace staff member and we can take over and you can step away. Really, the big part is to not work when you're like angry. So when you're trying to help people when you're angry, you just kind of make things worse, even if you're not trying to. And then it just kind of piles downhill and can get out of hand pretty quickly. Yeah, so really the lesson, I think, as far as the philosophy of moderation goes, is just to be balanced. Keep authority in check, keep the community and the inclusiveness of the community in check in your mind, and then obviously keep your own self and your own mental stability in mind as well. So that's kind of our thought process into moderation. Obviously, each independent channel, as far as like Discord, Telegram, the forums, they will have slight little nuances as far as the rules go, but in general, they all follow this standard set of rules, which is pretty straightforward. I feel like you've probably seen this same set on most crypto groups is, just adhere to the Discord's terms of service, no harassment, racism, sexism, or homophobia, or anything along those lines. No advertising or spamming. And I don't mean like, for example, if it's something that's within the subspace community, they're welcome to post that. But obviously, if someone from like Ethereum comes up and says, hey, go check out Ethereum, that's when it's like, hey, man, this is the subspace Discord. And obviously, no unfounded accusations or FUD. That doesn't mean no discussion. If someone comes in and says, hey, your protocol isn't scalable because X, Y, and Z, that's perfectly fine. We can have an open discussion about various aspects. But if someone says, subspace is a scam with no evidence to back it up or nothing like that, that's when we would hop in and be like, hey man, do you have any sources to back up your claims? And if not, then obviously we would consider that FUD. And then one of the other ones too that we want to focus on is just keeping members from messaging staff directly. It's a common one. Those users usually don't get responded, and they're like, what the heck, why didn't they answer to me? Because they might have messaged the wrong staff member. But two, we don't respond to most DMs other than myself. The rest of the subspace team doesn't respond to DMs just out of scam, watching out for scams and things like that. So also make sure to echo those messages to the community. And then just a basic warning about the general dangers of working in the crypto space. But as far as moderation process goes, so once it's actually time to do some moderation, we do have a little bit of a different configuration on our Discord server. So let me pull up Discord just to show you guys an example. So typically, as you'll on most Discord servers, if we were to let's say hypothetically this user said a bad message and they need to be banned or kicked, you would go into here and you would go to kick that user. Or, sorry, you would right click on the username and then go to kick that user, or time them out, or whichever. That is not how we do our moderation on our Discord server. With our Discord server, you will never use those buttons on the menu. What we will do instead is use the Wick bot, and there's documentation for this on how to use this within this drop down right here, which gives you, here's a longer explanation and then a quick breakdown of how everything works and everything like that. But I'll also show you a quick example. So let's say hypothetically, Zoom has said something bad and we need to kick them out of the server. You can do it from any channel. Generally, I'll do it from the moderation chat, which you guys will have access to once we give you permissions. In this case, we'll just use moderator testing though. So if we wanted to ban a user, we'll use the wick command. It starts with a W, and then we'll do an exclamation point. So that's how you initiate the wick command, and then whatever comes after. So in this case, let's just say we're doing a ban. We would do W exclamation point ban, and then from here we would tag the user. So I'll just tag myself for the sake of example. So now if I were to hit enter right now, it would do a little pop-up. So obviously I can't ban myself, but it'll do a little pop-up and say, are you sure you'd like to ban this user? It'll show their username, and then there'll be a little button, and you'll just click yes, and then that will ban them. You can also do a reason. So if you wanted to give a reason, maybe they posted a scam link, you can do a question mark, R, and then type the reason here. And then that will also be messaged to them when they get banned, so they have at least some context on why they were kicked out. So that applies for bans, kicks, muting. So if you want to make them, you don't want to kick a user, but you just don't want them to chat anymore. Maybe they're in a really bad mood and you just need to calm down for an hour. That would be, you could mute them with that as well. Those are generally going to be your 3 main tools, but there's some others we'll dive into here in just a second as well. So something to keep in mind with Wick. When a user joins our server, step 1 is they will be put into a quarantine mode. So they will have a role on their profile that says quarantined. If a user is quarantined, do not do anything to that user as far as like moderation goes. Don't try and remove them from quarantine. Don't try and promote them or unmute them or unkick, nothing along those lines. Because the way Wick is configured, if a user tries to basically bring a user out of quarantine, then that user is also quarantined. So it's almost like guilty by association. So as soon as the bot sees that you're trying to save a banned user, it thinks that you are potentially been hacked and will also lock you down as well. So just something to keep in mind. If you see someone with that quarantined role on Discord and they need something done, just reach out to me directly and I will get that taken care of. Because obviously don't want to see you guys get caught up in any of those bot permissions. Another portion of Wick that is also good to keep in mind as a moderator is the anti-nuke functionalities. So there's this term in cybersecurity called nuking a Discord server. Basically what will happen is someone will somehow get the right permissions and then they can just delete all the channels, remove all the roles, kick everybody, and just wipe everything. Because of that, Wick will also test for this within moderators because sometimes moderator Discord accounts can be hacked. So if you were to, let's say you have 10 users that you need to kick like right now because a bunch of people just joined and they're all just posting a bunch of links. If you ban more than 10 users or do any action to a user to more than 10 users within the same minute, you will be restricted until I have a chance to interact. So, just keep that in mind. Don't be speed typing commands if you're moderating. Just kind of take it one breath at a time, because if you do go too quick, then all of a sudden it'll think that you've been hacked, and then you're stuck too, and then obviously you can't do your portion as effectively. But ultimately, it's really just a bunch of minor security steps just to ensure that there's no way that we ever lose full control of our Discord server, which obviously you guys will have help with as well. Awesome. So that's how Wick works. In general, it seems like you guys kind of got the main idea. We also include what I call the moderation infraction guide here. This is strictly for reference. It's mostly to kind of help you, I guess, gauge the severity of a user who's acting incorrectly. So for example, some things are pretty low, like crime, for example. Sometimes you get a speeding ticket, sometimes you go to jail. So same kind of thing in our server. If someone's doing something pretty minor, like maybe they just used a curse word or sent a message to staff or spammed some emojis or something like that, that's not too big of a deal. Maybe just like, hey man, don't do that. And you don't necessarily need to like ban them or kick them or anything severe. Just kind of give them that nice like verbal confirmation, like, hey, it's against the rules, please don't do that. And then that way we can kind of start guiding them in the right direction. Obviously, some things do start to get a little bit more strict. So like in the medium category, these are rules that like they're probably breaking one of our Discord rules, but it's not likely violating like any federal laws or anything like that. So these include examples of like shilling, pump and dumps, trading group invites, advertising or spamming invites, overt inappropriate language, or like NSFW content that someone's just coming out of the gate, just fully digging into it. That would be a good time. And for example, if someone's kind of in that medium category, maybe that's someone you can mute for a day, or just give that kick. Don't necessarily ban them, but just kick them out so they have to rejoin and kind of get that message of, oh, maybe I was acting a little out of line. And then that final category is severe. So these are ones that are completely unacceptable, pretty much with very, very few exceptions will always be a ban. So racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, any harassment really is just unacceptable in our server. As a community member, you shouldn't feel like you're being berated by anybody for any reason. So we strictly just do not put up with it. Personal threats of violence. This one, at least in America, breaks federal law, so it has to be acted upon, at least by us, because we're an American company. Similar laws probably apply in your various regions as well. So, but if anybody says, hey, I'm going to come to your house and punch you in the face, or even worse, that would be a threat of physical violence. There's a little bit of gray area to this one. It's hard to find exactly when it's a threat of violence, but I also include hacking. So if someone says, I'm going to hack you, that is a digital threat of violence in my eyes, and would also be included in that group of, needing to be removed. And obviously the big ones, extreme NSFW content. Really the big one we're looking for here is like underage or illegal NSFW materials, or really anything that violates Discord's terms of service. So, insert your horrific video here, pretty much would likely apply to that. Any kind of terrorism videos or any kind of thing like that would violate Discord terms of service, and we'd want to get that removed from our server as well. And it's important to think when it comes to the Discord terms of service, I know most people don't read that, but from a moderation and a server owner perspective, if we don't follow those terms of service, they could just delete our Discord server. And then obviously, we're not going to have a good time. So that is one that I just do ask you guys to keep in mind, and just do there's a good little TLDRs online, just kind of what they're looking out for. But generally, it's kind of the same that I've laid out here in this moderation infraction guide. All right, I know that was a lot. Just been brain dumping for a minute there. Once again, this is all available for you guys, and we'll continue to update it. If you have any feedback or any suggestions, please let me know. We can get those improved as well. But beyond that, that's kind of the high level. Here shortly today, I will be getting you guys the permissions added in Discord, and then you will be off to the races as far as being our first batch of community moderators. Awesome. Was there any questions, any concerns?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Justin.
How's it going?
Hello. I have questions for you. Is there any channels for us to exchange information during moderations?
As in like a moderation channel?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yes. A channel for us to exchange information during the moderation.
Yes. So we do have.
Yeah.
You can't see it yet, but you'll have this moderation category once you get the permissions. And in there, there is a mod chat, and there we can, talk about things and say, hey, this user brought this up, what should we do? And we can have those discussions about next steps and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and another question is during the moderation times, if we have any problem for the answer the members, who we can contact in your team?
Me. So I will be the one to
Yeah.
reach out to.
Yeah.
You can also always reach out to, so our community team
Yeah.
consists of me, Wei, and Diana, and Yewan. So those four people you can always reach out to via DMs, Discord, however. But generally,
Yeah.
try me first. If you don't hear back from me in a decent amount of time, you can then try Diana, who leads the ambassador program, or
Yeah.
Yewan, who leads our marketing, and then
Yeah.
Wei, he's our chief marketing officer. So
Yeah. Yes, because as you know, the different thing between the time between the Vietnamese and US in your countries is so sometimes it's so difficult to contact your team, and we must wait a long time to answer to members. So the first person I contact is you, and could you please to share with us some the some other some other in your core team so we can contact immediately.
yes, I will get a good contact list put on that moderation guide for you guys. That way you
Yeah,
have a quick, easy way to reference.
yeah,
And I will say this, with the time difference, if
yeah,
there's a hypothetical situation where let's say, something popped up and you have a question for the team and you don't know if maybe you should ban this user or not, or you don't know what to do,
yeah,
in that case, my best suggestion is just to mute the user. Because if you mute the user, they can't talk, but they're still in the server.
mm,
So then that gives us time where they can't, I guess, do any more harm. But then it gives us time for a staff to see your message and then respond and then come up with a better action plan. If there's not something available quickly. So if you don't know what to do, just mute them for now and then just tag one of the staff members or tag me, and then we can approach it once we have the availability to.
yeah. Thank you.
Of course, of course, Elon, go ahead.
Uh, how many hours do we have to commit for moderation? Like
So
a day?
you guys are all volunteers, so I'm not gonna sit here and say, you have to put in a certain amount of time. Obviously, if we don't see you participating, there is a chance that you might be removed from the community moderation group. That doesn't, no hard blood, no hard feelings. It is volunteer currently, so I understand that you guys' time is valuable, and if you're busy for a day or can't make it, I'm not going to hold it against you. Um, but my biggest ask is just to communicate. If you're going out of town for a week or something, just send me a message. I have no worries. Really just trying to keep up to date, with the status of everybody. So um, ideally, I'd like to, if you could hop on at least once a day and check everything out, make sure it's all good, that'd be nice. But I'm not going to set too much of an expectation, especially because you guys are volunteering your time. Once down the line, I'd like to make the moderation a paid position. Hopefully, knock on wood, I haven't got it and approved by the team yet, but hopefully I can make it a paid position down the line, in which case, obviously, then we might have a little bit standard, more expectations. But with it being volunteer, I'm not going to be that jerk that's like, you got to put 5 hours every day in, because, it's your time. You can use it as you see fit. But once again, if we don't see you for a few weeks, I might be like, hey man, where you at? But nothing too strict.
Justin, hello.
How's it going?
Hello. Will a recording of the meeting be sent to us in the mail?
So it'll be uploaded to YouTube as an unlisted video, and then yeah, I'll send it to you guys on email, just that way you have a good link to it.
Or you recording this meeting and send us in moderation chat in Discord?
Yep. Yeah, I'll throw it in
It's
there.
more easily.
Definitely. Yeah, email's a little outdated these days, huh?
Okay. Thanks. Thanks.
Of course. Alrighty, my friends. Do we have any other questions?
No.
Awesome. Well,
Hi, Justin.
It's clear. Clear first.
One question. Some items in the guide are blocked in Notion.
Oh, some of the items are blocked. Okay. Let me take a look at those permissions and get that sorted out for you. Notion's a little 50-50 sometimes with those. I'll get that sorted out just after this meeting. And it should be fixed for you.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Alrighty, my friends. Well, I think that's it for now. I would like to maybe do like a once a month meeting if we can, just to like get back on the same page and kind of sync up and everything. But we'll schedule that down the line. Obviously, we still got some time before that comes upon us. But just to give you that heads up, we'll try and do a 1 month meeting. But like everything, you know, I'll record it and I'll upload it. So if you can't make it, that's no worries. And
Yeah, good idea. I support you.
Awesome. Have a good day, my friends. And thanks for taking the time today.
Glad to see you, Justin. Goodbye.
Thank you.
See you guys as well.
Nice night, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.